Hi everyone, my name is Aleksandar Georgiev, and I am currently a senior at the American College of Sofia in Sofia, Bulgaria, where I'm currently presenting from. And today I would like to present my Polygence Symposium presentation of my research paper, which is titled Estimating Bulgaria's 2023 Bright Economy Composite Index: Insights into the Hidden Economy, which would not have been possible without the help of my Polygence mentor, Prerna. Before we dive in, let's start with a brief paper preview. And I would actually like to begin with defining what bright and hidden economies mean. So the bright economy comprises all activities that are officially declared and which therefore contribute to forming a part of a country's GDP. On the other hand, the hidden economy constitutes of undeclared activities, which might range from home production and illegal businesses to legal activities that are simply kept concealed from authorities. Why did I choose to analyze Bulgaria? Because compared to other countries in Europe, Bulgaria has consistently been scoring among the highest hidden economy shares every year. And compared to the European average of 17.3%, Bulgaria's hidden economy proportion has never been below 22, and ResearchGate actually reports a whopping 33% as of 2022. In my paper, I have employed four different methods of measurement, which include average annual growth rate, year-to-year average growth rates, simple moving averages, and linear regressions. The Bright Economy Composite Index, also known as BESI, as I will be calling it later in the presentation, was created in 2014 by the Bulgarian Industrial Capital Association. And as you may see on the graph in this slide, the index has been calculated for every year since 2010, but we will go into more details about BESI growth in a few minutes. The index itself is broken into two components, both weighing 50% of the overall 100% weight. The statistical component comprises 7 indicators, whereas the sociological component is further broken up into employee subcategory, which accounts for 20% with its 7 indicators, and the employer subcategory, which accounts for 30% with its 11 indicators. Here you can see a bunch of pie charts that showcase how each indicator is distributed in terms of the 100% total weight. For the statistical component, it is important to mention that data is collected and reported to the organization by the Bulgarian government and the Ministry of Finance. On the other hand, the sociological component primarily sources data through surveying and conducting polls to a fixed panel of respondents every year. A serious limitation that posed a challenge to my research process was that most raw data behind this index was inaccessible for the public, and the methodology behind BESI calculations has not been published. After a meeting with a resource person from the Bulgarian Industrial Capital Association, however, I managed to derive the following assumptions. Given past data and reports, my research assumes that the indicators will remain the same and will not undergo any expansion or shrinkage, and that the weighting distribution between indicators will remain the same. I have primarily used a 2015 to 2022 dataset in my calculations, but based on the nature of some of my methods, I will explain why I have chosen a smaller window. Going back to this graph in the 2015 to 2022 timeframe, we can see a relatively steady growth with a notably larger increase in 2018, which is accounted for by the implementation of governmental policies in attempts to fight the hidden economy, as well as a change in the indicators, since one indicator was actually further broken up into two new ones, leading to tweaks in the final results naturally. Potentially due to the COVID outbreak in 2020, BESI was observed with a slightly lower value. So in my simple averages method, I also considered the scenario where the true value for 2020 was substituted with the moving average one from the previous 3 years. Because including earlier years with much lower BESI values would overall lead to an overestimated annual growth rate. I also considered scenarios in which only values from 2018 onwards were included, as growth since then has been mostly consistent. Performing calculations using each method would not be possible without consolidating sheets with all the annual values and weighted values for each indicator. But due to time constraints, unfortunately, I will not be able to showcase the formulas and equations that I used in detail. Method one measured annual average changes in each indicator value over the whole time frame and rendered an ambitious estimated 2023 BESI value of 18.19. Method two again uses the whole data set, but the key difference here is that the calculations had to be performed on a year-to-year basis for each indicator, which were then averaged and once again rendered the most ambitious value of 18.50, which is most likely caused by the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, years in the range where BESI was lower leave us under the impression that average annual growth might be overcalculated. Simple moving averages were tricky because indicators in 2018 changed, so I considered two scenarios. The first one was only taking 2018 to 2022 into consideration when all indicators were the same, which resulted in the lower bound of the range at the conservative 78.19. The second situation, however, which involved working with combining subtotals by category and then applying simple averages theory, rendered practically the same result. Lastly, again, on the conservative spectrum is the linear regressions method, where I formulated the equation you can see next to the lower graph based on data from 2018 to 2022. The end result in this case was 78.75, and it was derived using the equation y equals 0.23 times x plus 76.70 plus error. From the calculation methods that I showcased above, we can infer that the estimated 2023 BESI value is predicted to fall in the 78.19 to 80.50 range, taking into account multiple different factors that might have diverted BESI from its natural progression. And since bright is complementary to hidden, this would mean that the hidden economy value would be in the 19.5 to 21.81 range, which still remains above European average. And while progress has been made in formalizing economic activities, a substantial portion of economic activity still remains outside of the official economy. The government may need to implement policies focused on improving tax compliance, enhancing the effectiveness of regulatory bodies, and incentivizing businesses to operate transparently. Measures such as reducing the tax burden on small businesses, increasing digitalization in transactions, and enhancing public trust in government institutions could be effective in maintaining and potentially accelerating the decline in the hidden economy's size. All of that being said, I hope that in this paper and this presentation, I have been able to explain the essence and relevance of this composite index that might inspire other countries in the near future and get implemented in other places across the world. The research process related with this project it sparked new dimensions of my interest for statistical analysis and getting to know more about the economic working of markets. And for the future, I will continue seeking for more opportunities to applying my experiences into the realm of economics. That was all from me. Thank you all so much for watching.